Hi Lashinistas, it's Lori Gary, your exclusive Purple presenter. This is video 2 of Younique's compensation plan where we will be covering the level green. In our first level, we covered levels white, yellow, pink, and blue. If you haven't watched that video first, please go and watch that video and make sure you understand those levels really well. This chart should be very familiar to you now. Let's just review quickly. Personal retail sales means anything that you sell. Company wholesale sales mean anything that you and your team sell. Qualified first level presenters are anyone that you signed up directly under you that have qualified, meaning that they have sold their $125 in the same month that you are trying to hit your level. When we look at the graph and look at the requirements of green, we can see that they've gone up quite a bit. We are now talking about the top levels in this company, and so the requirements naturally are going to be stepped up as well. We now need a PRS, personal retail sales, of $500. We need to have company sales of $10,000. Remember, that's anything that you and your team sell. We need to have 3 qualified first level presenters. And this circle sale is something that we're going to ignore for just a moment. This circle sale doesn't come into effect until someone on our team hits green. And right now, we're just going over what it takes for you to hit green. Let's look at our royalties page for when you hit green and what you'll be making. We get a nice pay raise again, 30% on our personal retail sales, and we get 5% on our circle sales. When you hit green, it's a really exciting time. You become your own generation. In Younique's terminology, it's called a generation or a circle. You take your own team members with you, and you take your own team sales with you. You create your own Facebook page, just like you see on Lashinistas. You create your own name, and ultimately you become a manager of your own team. You as a team member have maybe already experienced this. Originally, you may have been a member of Lashinistas, but when your upline hit green, or someone in your upline hit green, they will have broken off and become their own team. This is how Lash Outs and Fabulashes have become their own groups within Lashinistas. Even Lashinistas is a smaller circle within the bigger company called Glam Gurus. Now let's refer back to this page. If you go into your office and pull up your royalties page under My Royalties, you're going to see this. It's going to look a lot like this. Whether you are green or not, your company sales, this number right here, and your circle sales will be the same number. That's because you have no circles within your company, meaning no one has hit green and become their own generation. So up until that point, there is no separation between the two. Your company sales will be the same number as your circle sales. So now when we refer back to that royalties chart and we saw that we got paid 5% on our circle, this is the number that they're referring to. It's easy to get it confused with the company number because up until you have someone on your team hit green, these numbers will be the same. But in actuality, they are referring to this circle sale, which when you hit green, you're going to be getting paid 5% on. Now, let's go to the second half of this video tutorial and talk about what it means and what changes will happen to your team when someone on your team hits green. Your royalties page will change a little bit. Now that you have hit green, there's a good chance somebody on your downline will be hitting green too. This is where your company sales and your circle sales actually separate. And this is the big difference when you have hit green and when someone on your team hit green. Company sales are anything that you and your team sell, including your greens. Circle sales are anything that you and your team sell, excluding your greens. Just like you broke off when you hit green, so too will your downline members break off when they hit green. And remember, when they break off, they take everyone they signed up and so on with them. This now separates what we consider to be your company and what we consider to be your circle. Your company still includes your greens. In fact, it includes every single member, no matter who they signed up under, what their status is, or whether their upline hit green. If you were their original upline, they are considered your company. For example, I currently have 350 people in my company, Las Shanistas. That includes every single person I signed up. It includes everyone they signed up, and so on. My circle, though, is everyone who is left over that is not part of a team where their upline, other than myself, hit green and broke off. Until someone in their upline hit green, they are still considered to be my circle when I hit green and broke off. Now that you have a first line who has hit green, their sales will add to your company, but they will not add to your circle. For example, if you sell $2,000, that's your PRS, and let's say you have 20 people on your team that sell $1,000 each, that's a company sale of $22,000. That included everybody. Now let's say that one person hit green and became their own generation, taking with her team and her sales. And in this example, we're going to say that her team sales were responsible for $15,000 of your $22,000. That's what they took with them. What's left over is your circle sale, and in this example, it's $7,000. Now, when we look at this chart again, this should make sense. We need $10,000, which is our company sale. It's everyone, including your greens and her sales. But once she leaves and takes all of her team sales with her, what we have left and who we have left is considered our circle sale. It needs to be at least $2,000. In the example that we just used, our company sales were $22,000. Our green took $15,000. We were left with $7,000. That's well over the $2,000 requirement, and so we're good. Again, this is another reason why we want to have a big direct line, so that if we have members who hit green and break off, we don't want them to be our only members, taking everything with them. We need other people still there, at other levels, contributing to our circle sales. They are just as important as our greens. We may have met all the criteria of the top levels, but if we put all our eggs in one basket, and that basket now leaves us and becomes its own team, we have nothing left in our circle sales, and that criteria of 2,000 circle sales won't be met, and we won't reach that level. Now, don't worry, just because your first line generation broke off, we still get paid on them. If we refer to our royalties chart, again, we're getting paid 30% on our retail royalties, on our PRS. We're getting paid 5% on our circle sales. That's why I showed you the chart now separating company from circle, because circle is what's left after our greens have left, and we get paid 5% on them. Now, our first line has become our first generation. We now refer to them as our first generation. We have always referred to them as our first line, but when they hit green, they become our first generation because they took their own team members and team sales with them, became their own team, their own circle, their own generation. They are now considered our first generation. And if we look here, we are getting paid 3% on our first generation. That's them, and that's their entire team. When we look back at this personal page of our retail royalties, we can see what we're getting paid on. We have company sales of over $29,000. That included the sales everyone made, even our green first generations. However, we don't get paid on company. We get paid on circle, which is now different from each other since we have a first generation green on our team. We get paid 5% on this amount, over $18,000 in this example. That company sale is still very important though, because if we didn't get it up over the $10,000, we wouldn't even have made green ourselves. The criteria was at least $10,000. And now that we have a first generation, our first line that broke away and took her team and all their sales with them, we get paid 3% on them, which is this number showing here, over $10,000. And again, circle sales are still so important because this needs to be a minimum of $2,000 for us to hit green. So grow your team. Understand why we need to have a Y team with lots of people achieving different levels so all the different criteria can be met. I hope that clears up the two different sections of what it means to hit green and what it means for your team when someone on your team hits greens. Please join us for video 3, where we will be explaining orange, purple, and black. Thanks for joining us.